What if your school leadership interview came down to one question? And that question is, why should we hire you? No long list of scenarios, no multiple rounds, just that one moment. Would your answer clearly position you as their next leader? Or will it sound like you're still asking for permission to lead? Today, I'm going to show you how to answer that question with clarity, confidence, and strategic alignment. Because this question isn't about confidence, it's about positioning. What's going on, aspiring school leader? I am Dr. Donovan Smalls II, assistant principal, best-selling author, school leadership coach, and I help aspiring school leaders confidently land their first leadership role and lead with impact from day one. This episode is centered around a quintessential question. And that question is, why should we hire you? And many times, aspiring leaders, you will get that question at the end of or in the middle of an interview because the interview committee is truly trying to see your motivation behind wanting to become a school leader. And they're trying to see and anticipate the type of school leader that you will be if you get hired. And so I truly want you to be able to answer, why should we hire you, in a way that is going to highlight your strengths and not highlight your weaknesses, right? I don't want this to be a moment in your interview where you stumble, you fall, and you don't know how to get back up from that interview because you answered it in a way that is arrogant. You answered it in a way that doesn't truly show your leadership impact. And so I want to talk about that today with 3 key points. So again, our topic of discussion is that infamous question, why should we hire you? I know you're enjoying this episode, but I want to let you know about my 4-week interview preparation coaching program called Elevate Your Impact. This program is specifically for aspiring school leaders who have an amazing resume. You're ready to lead, but you may need additional support regarding interview preparation. In my 4-week program, you will learn how to clarify and confidently communicate your leadership story, practice scenario-based interview questions with real-time coaching and targeted feedback, and participate in a full one-on-one mock leadership interview with targeted, actionable feedback. So if that's you, if you're an aspiring school leader and you know you need additional support regarding interview preparation, visit my website, donovansmalls2.com/coaching for more information, or click the link in the description to book your call with me today. So point number 1 is I want you to lead with value, not background. So if you're asked the question, why should we hire you? This is not your opportunity to then go to give a long laundry list of things that you've done and reiterate what is already on your resume. Your answer should begin with who you are as a leader, not how long you've been in education. And so many times people make the assumption that just because you've been a teacher or been in education for 15, 20, 25 years, that automatically qualifies you, or that it even should qualify you to be a school leader. I constantly talk about how being a school leader is very different from being a classroom teacher. You have different competencies when it comes to leadership versus teaching. Both are extremely valuable, right? We are on the same team as it relates to trying to help students be the best that they can be. We just have different roles. But I will say there's different competencies, different skill sets that you must possess as a leader, and you want to be able to articulate that when you hear the question, why should we hire you? Which is going to, again, require you to know who you are as a leader. What type of leader are you? And I'm not talking about a leadership style, but just you and your disposition, you and your philosophy, you and what you believe. And so here's a 3-part formula that I want you to consider when it comes to answering that question. The first part is your leadership identity, right? Who you are at the core as a school leader. And so, for example, you might say, I am a systems-focused instructional leader who prioritizes teacher clarity and student-centered decision-making. So if you were to answer that question, why should we hire you, in a way that focuses on you being an instructional leader, a systems thinker, somebody who is collaborative, somebody that doesn't just make decisions without having the appropriate data to back up that decision, you are automatically going to put you ahead of the competition, because you're not talking about, this is the school that I went to, these are the leadership roles that I've had, right? We can read that on your resume, but we truly want to know who you are going to be if you get hired for this position. The second part of the formula is proof of impact. What can you show? What can you articulate that shows the leadership impact that you have been able to have? Maybe it's in the classroom, right? As an aspiring school leader, you might not necessarily have leadership experience outside of the classroom. Some people do, right? Some of the clients that I work with are very strategic in the way that they approach their leadership opportunities within their classroom role, because they understand where they're going, right? And that's one of the things that I teach in my Elevate Your Impact 4-week interview prep program, right? We talk about how to reverse engineer the goal. If the goal is for you to be a school leader, then we need to start thinking about, yes, you are a classroom teacher now, but how can you gain some of the leadership experiences, whether that's during your prep period, right? Whether that's during, before or after school, or whatever it is that you can do to get the leadership experiences that you need to add to your resume. So we do talk about that. And so again, what measurable or observable improvements did you create? So for example, in my current role, you might say I helped redesign our PLC process, which increased instructional alignment across grade levels, right? That is another part of the formula in terms of your impact, right? Your proof of impact, because that's what leadership is. If you are a school leader and you're not making an impact, then I would say we need to start holding up a mirror and really start doing some self-reflection about why you wanted to become a school leader in the first place. Get back to your why and see how you can get out of that rut of not making the impact that you said that you wanted to make, and that's why you wanted to become a school leader in the first place. Right? So it's about proof of impact. That's part number 2 of the 3-part formula. And the third part is alignment. So you want to connect directly to the school. So when you answer the question, why should we hire you? There should be some indicators in your response that align with the mission, vision, core values of the district, core values of the school. There should be some alignment there, right? And so you might say, based on your focus, talking about the district or the school that you're applying to or that you're interviewing for, based on your focus on strengthening Tier 1 instruction, I believe, again, you're talking about who you are as a leader. I believe that experience would allow me, or this experience would allow me to contribute immediately because of my leadership philosophy and leadership style. Right? We're talking about alignment. You have to, in your interview, you have to be able to talk about or talk from a space of you aligning with what is already in place. See, as a school leader, as an aspiring leader, once you land your first leadership role, you're not coming in to change a bunch of things. You're coming in to align with what already exists and then figure out tweaks. Figure out ways that you can start to make improvements. But the first thing that you're going to do, the first thing you're not going to do is try to come in and make improvements, right? The first thing you need to do is observe and see the areas that you actually need to make an improvement. You can't make improvements if you haven't observed yet, if you haven't actually, really took a deep dive to see the levels of align or where you actually align, what areas actually are doing well, what systems are in place that are seamless, and then noticing those gaps so that you can start to fill those gaps. All right. So that's the 3-part formula as it relates to point number 1, which was lead with value, not background. And let's go through that again one more time. So part number 1 was leadership identity. Number 2, proof of impact. And number 3, alignment. Point number 2. So when it comes to answering that question, why should we hire you? You have to address the real question. The real question underneath that, the deeper question, is what happens if we hire you? What type of leader are we going to receive? What type of leader what type of experience are you going to provide teachers, students, and families? So you might say something like, if selected for this role, you can expect consistent instructional feedback for teachers, positive communication with families, and a calm, solutions-oriented presence when challenges arise. Right? You automatically sound like a leader if you were to respond in that way. There's always a deeper rooted question underneath the question that you are asking, right? There are some targeted areas that hiring committees truly want to hear. And so you have to start thinking critically about the type of leader that you are, the type of leader that you are going to be, the outcomes that you are able to provide, right? And not oversell those outcomes. But you're talking about what you have done as a leader thus far, what you've done in the classroom that you're able to scale to leadership so that people can see, again, what happens if we hire you. That's point number 2. And point number 3, you want to speak from ownership, not aspiration. And so you want to begin to use leadership language. When you get that question, why should we hire you? Right? You want to be able to talk like a leader. You want to demonstrate the fact that you are already a leader and you're not waiting for permission for somebody to hire you in order for you to show up as a leader. You as a leader, you already have to show up that way, even if you haven't had a formal leadership role. I want you to remember that leadership is not a title. Leadership is a disposition. And so leadership language sounds like, as a leader, right? You're already talking about you as a leader. As a leader, I prioritize X, Y, and Z, whatever that is. Or one of my core leadership commitments is X, Y, and Z. Or I focus on X, Y, and Z, right? You're not talking about how I hope to or I would try to. You're already speaking as if you are the leader of that particular department, or you are already a part of that leadership team. So you have to consider the language that you are using in your interview, because language truly does matter. So stop interviewing like someone hoping to be chosen. Start speaking like someone ready to lead. If you get that question, why should we hire you? I want you to think about this, right? Giving a response similar to something like this. And obviously you can tailor it however you want to who you are in the specific district or school that you are applying to. But you might say something like this: you should hire me because I bring clarity, systems thinking, and instructional focus to complex environments. In my current role, I led a restructuring of our intervention process that improved targeted student support and increased teacher collaboration, right? That's just a sample of something that you could say, if that's obviously your experience, that will truly begin to make an impact with that hiring committee, because you're showing up as a leader already as opposed to waiting for permission. And so these are some of the strategies that I teach clients, aspiring school leaders that I work with one-on-one with interview preparation. If that's you, if that's somebody like you and you need interview preparation, you understand that you truly want to be focused and ready for your next interview, because guess what? It is interview season. It is March now as we begin to get into April, right? These are the experiences, these are the conversations that you're going to be able to have in that interview. You are going to be able to actually present yourself as a leader, but guess what? Sometimes that actually takes practice. So if that's you, if you need additional support regarding interview preparation, reach out. Let's have a conversation so that we can get you to exactly where you need to be, confident and interviewing with clarity, so you can land your first school leadership role. As always, I hope you have a great week of teaching, leading, and learning. Take care.